Welcome back to Equine Helper. This week, Carmela is traveling in Virginia. She got a bunch of questions from you guys online, so I'm going to answer these questions. I haven't even looked at them yet, so I'm curious to see what you guys sent in. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look. So my first question is, would you ever buy a horse for yourself? So Ruach was actually supposed to be my horse, but he is a bit smaller than we thought that he would be currently. Yes, he's still only like 3 years old, so there's a lot of time that he can grow and get bigger. But until then, I'm not really able to ride him. I can work with him on the ground. Because I'm kind of experienced, I generally prefer working with Tucker just because he's a little bit better about spatial awareness and respecting your space. Ruach, his ground manners, he's just naturally a little bit more pushy. The next question goes with the last one. Will you ride Ruach? Yes. But there's a caveat. It's if he gets big enough for me to ride. Okay, here we go. Do you miss Daisy? That was our black sheep that we had, and Yoshi. Okay, so Daisy and I, we didn't have the best relationship. She did not like me. She didn't really like people in general, but like she would at least come up to Carmela and like get food from her. Me, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just men in general with her. She would stay away from me pretty much all the time. There is also the instance where we were trying to shear her and I caught her and she ended up pantsing me. And so I do have a little bit of beef with her over that. Would I say that I miss Daisy? Not particularly. I know she's at a really good place right now, a nice like homestead. She's got room to roam around and she's doing her own sheep thing. So I think she's doing great where she is. The other half of that question, do I miss Yoshi? Yes, I definitely miss Yoshi. Having to part ways with Yoshi and put him down was one of the hardest things that probably Carmela and I ever had to deal with. We've never dealt with much like loss in our family close to us, but he was the first pet that we've had to do that with. And so that was intense, but I believe that he's in a better place, trotting around in heaven, eating some good green grass, and that we'll see him again someday. So that makes me happy. All right, this next question's a little bit more of a personal one, and it's where did you grow up? I'm actually from Alabama. I grew up in Pell City, Alabama. It's just this tiny little town about like 45 minutes away from Birmingham. And it was a great place to grow up. It's developed a lot since I lived there. It may not really be so much of a small town anymore, honestly. While I didn't grow up with horses, I did grow up with some wide open pastures all around me. And so I remember just spending a lot of time outside. I would go play in the woods, put on my camouflage, climb trees. There were cows out there that I would mess with that I probably shouldn't have done. I grabbed my first electric fence out there. Good times. But it was a good place to grow up. All right, our next question is, what is your dream job? I really love video game design. That's something I've studied in the past, and I think that could be a really fun field to pursue potentially. I've started writing a book, and I'm like a few hundred pages into it. I need to finish it, and that's something I was kind of putting off until the trip was finished, just because it's hard to like get up early in the morning when it's really cold and you don't have a shower to get into or anything. Now that we're back like in an apartment, I want to get a better morning routine, wake up early and get stuff done like that. Our next question is, did you enjoy the cross-country trip? Yes, I really did. I like doing adventurous things. Like for example, when I was 18 and I graduated high school, I went and I traveled Europe by myself for like 3 months. So I've always been interested just on doing unconventional things, going on adventures. Traveling full-time with horses was just a really unique experience. It taught me a lot about myself. It was hard work. I do all the heavy lifting of the hay and the water buckets and all of that stuff. But I think it was really good for me. It taught me a lot of like self-discipline. We're talking about having kids soon. And so I think just having that constant care of caring for the horses 24/7 is kind of a good preparation step for that. I could be wrong. Like you parents out there might be laughing at us, but I think it was good for us ultimately to get that experience. And then also we did get to see a ton of incredible places. We met some really nice people. I don't regret it at all. I think it was a great experience. And the next question is, what is your favorite place that you visited? My answer is kind of a weird one, and I honestly don't know why this is the answer, but Sam Brown Horse Campground in Oregon. So that was the campground that we had to drive along that really scary one-lane road on the edge of a cliff for like 20 or 30 minutes just to get to the campground. And I think there's something about that. It made when we got to the campground just like really rewarding. It felt like we had the entire place to ourselves. There weren't any other horse campers the entire time we were out there. That was the first place that like we put our hammocks up. There was the little creek that we'd go and get water from. It was just charming in a magical way that is hard to put into words, but I really enjoyed that place. Next, we have, what is the biggest thing that you learned from this trip? The biggest thing I learned is that you can do whatever you set your mind to do, which sounds like a cliche, but it's true. And I remember the day that I went to Carmela and I said, hey, when you said you wanted to travel the country with our horses, were you serious about that? And from that day on, we just started taking little steps towards doing this trip and traveling, selling our house, getting the trailer. So many things went into doing this trip outside of just the actual travel itself. I think it's crazy. All it takes is an idea and determination, and you can actually do whatever you want to do. So if there's something that you want to do, I encourage you just to start taking those little steps towards it, and you'd be amazed how quickly you get to where you want to go. What is your favorite horse color? I really like roan. I believe that's what it's called. Forgive me if it's not. It's like the bluish gray. I just think it's really, really pretty. And yeah, if I had like a big drafty roan horse, that would be cool. Next we have, what is your favorite horse breed? All right, I'm going to cheat on this one because I don't know exactly a horse breed that looks like this, but I think a really cool horse breed would be a cross of like a Percheron with a Frisian. I like just kind of the medieval fantasy vibe, and I feel like if I had that big, strong horse with like the long flowing manes. I really like the aesthetic of Frisian horses, just their conformation, and then also I like the size of Percherons and just kind of their strength. If you've ever played Zelda Breath of the Wild, the horses in that's kind of my dream horse breed. Next up we have, is Carmela as crazy as she seems? I gotta be careful how I answer this one. Someone's trying to get me in trouble. Carmela is crazy in all of the best ways. I'll just say it like that. Honestly, I love how unique she is and how she doesn't pull any punches in regards to her individuality. It feels like every time I walk into a room, she's got a pair of scissors in her hands and she's just cutting her own hair. And like, that's totally the opposite of my personality. I love her vigor for life. Once she sets her mind towards something, like she is locked in on it. So is she crazy? I would say yes. She's crazy determined. She is like very much herself and everything. That is the good, safe husband answer. I'm not going to say she's just crazy. Our next question is, if you could meet any historical figure, who would it be and why? I would say C.S. Lewis right now. I've been listening to a lot of his audiobooks and I just think he was a really interesting guy. I like how he came to like faith in Jesus through reason. If you're looking for some books to read, he has some really good, interesting, thought-provoking stuff about life and death and everything in between. We've got a two-part question next. It's, what was the most unexpected part of the trip and what was the most memorable? So unexpected, it's probably all those little things that go wrong that you don't expect. So for example, when Ruach decided he wanted to squeeze between like a 1.5 foot wide gap between our trailer and our truck, and by some miracle, nothing was damaged, including himself and Carmela, who he pulled to the ground. Yeah, that stuff's unexpected. Like when Tucker colicked in Florida and it was like 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And so we had to like completely pack up the trailer. Like that was intense for me because it felt like life or death at the moment, because it really could have been. And so I'm just throwing stuff out of the trailer. I had to go wake up somebody to help me hook up the truck and trailer and get Tucker loaded on. Along those lines, like the weather is unpredictable. And that ended up playing a really big part in our trip. And like, there's no way to really plan ahead for that because you never really know exactly what the weather is going to do. And then the second part, what were the most memorable parts of the trip? For me, it was some of the people we met. I met David in Alabama, and he gave me some like mountain biking lessons, and we went and rode on a mountain biking course, which that was really fun for me. All the time I got to spend with Carmela, just like good personal quality time with her. The moment we made it to the beach in Oregon and we walked out there for the first time, that was just a really poignant moment, because this trip, as fun as it was also really, really hard. Like emotionally, financially, logistically. Reaching that goal of getting to the beach, that was a good moment for both of us. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling. And it helps that we have a lot of that on video that we can look back on. Next we have, did I ever ride a horse before I met Carmela? I think I rode a horse maybe like one time before I met Carmela. And that was, again, somewhere in, I think it was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I was really, really young, and we did a trail ride. So that was like my only horse riding experience before Carmela. If you had to choose a riding discipline or an event to do on horseback, what would it be and why? I've honestly never really thought about this. Probably either like a Western discipline like barrel racing. I think that would be fun because you get to go really fast. Or on the English side of things, cross country. I don't know. It just feels adventurous. You get to do a lot of different things. So I would lean towards one of those two. As a non-equestrian, what is it like being married to a person who loves horses? You have like dog people and you have cat people, but then you have horse people. There's a different level of commitment that you have to have as a horse person. And I definitely see that in Carmela. Like, she loves her horses and like she's super committed to them. You can really tell that it's something that she was born with. Like, she was born just with this innate love and desire to be around horses, which I think is really cool. As someone who wasn't necessarily born with that, I think it's cool just seeing someone be so passionate about something. I definitely have come to love and appreciate horses in a way that I never would have imagined if I hadn't married Carmela. I believe that we're always going to have horses in some capacity. I'm perfectly good with that. I think they're really cool creatures and I enjoy working with them as well. Our next question is, where did you meet Carmela? So we actually met in Oklahoma. We were both based in Virginia, but we both went to Oklahoma to go to Bible school. And then where I really connected with her was at a call center. So she was the person who would listen to phone calls that like the reps would do, and she would grade the calls to make sure everybody was doing their job right. And I was just one of the people who would like answer phones. I asked her to go on break with me one day, and the rest is history. So that's where we really connected for the very first time. So it looks like that's all the questions that Carmela gave me. But thanks for sending those in, guys. That was really fun to answer some of those things. Carmela should be doing a video while she's gone with her childhood horses, Bella and Pepper. So be on the lookout for that. That should go out maybe next week. If you want to keep supporting us, we've got our Etsy store up and running. So we're putting new designs on there all the time. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check that out. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.